a big hand to our next storyteller, Keith Cockrell, everybody!
Okay, it was probably a spring day back in the late 60s, maybe the early 70s. And there she was, this beautiful creature. She was standing outside in front of my parents' home, and I'd never seen her before. And I said, "Who is that?" And the girl next door said, "Oh, that's just Tyrone's sister. Don't play with her. She'll tear your stuff up." But I'd never seen her before, and then Darcy reached out. She touched my arm and said, "Don't listen to her. I won't tear your stuff up." And I said, "That's a boy's bike." So lame. And Darcy said, "Oh, I know. It's my brother's bike. He lets me ride." I'd never seen her before. Turns out that everybody knew the Parnells. They went to Center Street School, but somehow me and my brother and some sisters, we went to Western Street School, so we didn't know them. And this was the first time I had seen her. And she took me around the corner and she showed me her home. And there was all these kids running around outside, pulling on her and saying that. And I would say, "Who is that?" And she'd say, "Well, that's my sister." And then somebody else would pull on her, and I said, "Well, who was that?" And she said, "Well, that's my brother." And this happened about 5 or 6 times. I said, "How many brothers or sisters do you have?" And she said, with some degree of family pride, "I have 10 brothers and sisters." It was so cute. And I happened to look inside the bathroom, and there were all these little towels strung around the sink. I mean, I'm like, wow. And later on that night, I told my mom about it, and I said, "I met this girl, and she had like she had 10 brothers and sisters." And I'm like, "Oh my!" But my mom was from Chambers County, Alabama, so it was no big deal to her. You know, it's like crops. Hey, you don't just raise your crops, you raise your farm hands, because those crops are not going to pick themselves. So I like, but that was the first time I saw Darcy, and the first time I met her. But later on, she went to Jack's State, and I was at UAB. And she came home from school, and she came around the corner, and she knocked on the door, and Mom came to the door, and there was this beautiful girl with a dancer's physique and a beautiful smile, and she asked for me, and Mom was so excited. You know, her nerd son actually had a girl come and ask for him. So I came up, and we talked a while, and there she was sitting, and her smile was so beautiful, you know. And she sat in the chair next to the door, and the sun came beaming through the window. I mean, it just set off her smile. It was beautiful. And we eventually had a date. We went to a movie. We saw The Jerk. And then we went to another movie, and we saw, what's the name of that Disney movie? Well, anyway, she noted that the dogs in the movie called their owners by the name that they called each other. So they would say Darling and Dear. What's it? The Lady and the Tramp. That's the name of the movie. And the dogs would call their owners Darling and Dear. And now I remember sitting in this movie, and Darcy kept pressing up against me. I'm like, why is she pressing up against me like that? I was just so irritated. And finally, I moved my arm, and she snuggled up against me, and my arm fell back in place, and I said, "Wow. Did you catch that?" Wow. Oh my God, I felt so cool. And then another time we went on a date. You know, back then I had a Dodge Demon. So, you know, that Chrysler slant 6 engine. My dad loved it. but I had a Dodge demon even when I was a church kid. I used to say, I drove a demon, I wasn't driven by demons. So when we drove around and we talked and we found out that her dad and my dad loved the same jazz albums. You know, those Wes Montgomery albums, those last 4 albums. Oh, A Day in the Life, Bumpin', California Dreamin'. And Darcy, just like me, we listened to those albums with our dad and we loved them. Our hearts were knit together, you know. And you know, the first time I saw her, I was smitten then because I just stared, I smiled, and I didn't know what to say. And when we drove, she would squeeze up next to me. She'd put her head on my shoulder. She'd hold my arm. She'd squeeze. It touched something deep inside. I loved her then. And after a few of those dates, oh, you gotta hear this one. Oh no! Oh no! What's gonna happen? Well, anyway, I mean, you're not gonna hear this stuff. I mean, I got on my nerve. I went over. I brought her roses, and she comes to the table, and she comes to the door, and she invites me in, and there's this guy there, and he has red trunks on. And I'm like, who is he? And I didn't feel right telling her what I had to tell her because I was going to state my intentions.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, she said she called me. She never called me. But then I dropped by Sherry's house, and Sherry says, I dropped at my Sherry's house about a month later, and Sherry says, Darcy's getting married today. And I was like, what? She had showed me her Aunt Osie's church long ago. So I popped in the car. I drove to the church. I'm driving around outside the church, and something's prompting me to go in. And I'm like, what? What? She didn't even call me. She didn't call me. She probably doesn't even know who I am. And y'all, I drove away. Fast forward 20 years, Darcy and I are on our honeymoon. And then I told her, on her wedding day, I was outside driving around arguing in my head, saying she doesn't even know who I am. And it's like this is how I know God is real. It's like he said, go in, that's your wife. And when I drove off, I said, if she's my wife, why is she in there marrying him? And then Darcy told me her side of the story. It turns out on her wedding day, she was at the back of the church holding up the wedding in tears, crying. And she didn't know why. And she said, finally, her Aunt Clara came out, gave her a shot of gin, and pushed her down the aisle. I can remember this little girl that when we all ran out to play, I must have loved her even then. The way I stared, I smiled, I didn't know what to say. I loved her then. I love her now. I will always love her.
Sometimes you gotta play the long game. Oh my goodness. Woo! And that's the end of the show. That was amazing.
Hello everyone, this is Kristen aka Blurred Sunbae. I am here with one of the great storytellers that we just saw on stage, Mr. Keith Cockrell. Woo! Are you a Birmingham native, an Alabama native?
I've lived here all my life.
Okay. So look, I've been here for about 7 years, and it's nice to find these little pockets of things. Have you been doing this for a long time?
a number of years ago, I noticed that a number of my songs worked as poems. So I started going around town and doing them at poetry events around town. Before that, I also had a recording contract with Take Music Group in Oklahoma City.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My first album was Love You I Do with Take Music Group in Oklahoma City.
Ooh, we don't know the gold that we have in front of us right now, y'all. We're getting put on. We're getting put on. How did it feel to be up there telling your story?
Oh, I'm pretty much used to it. It's no problem for me.
Veteran over here.
Yeah.
He's a veteran. I have to ask you, because like the nerves up there on stage, I can only imagine. You're telling your story, you know, that's pouring out your heart, and the time's going by so fast. Like, how did that part feel for you?
Well, I mean, I can do it, but yeah, I do have nerves because I left out important little things. You know, it wasn't actually coordinated the way I had it coordinated when I wrote it, but
you made it work. I had to keep blinking. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Right, like, you just have to keep going.
Oh, you did an outstanding job. First of all, congrats on the result of that story. I don't want to say too much because I know y'all have to hear it later. I know you have to hear it. But another thing that we talked about earlier was that you're an author as well. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
My first book is When You Celebrate Christmas. It will change Christmas as we know it. For real.
Okay.
You gotta check it out.
I'm gonna include that like in the middle of us here when we do
It's actually a musical short story.
Really?
Right, that explains the true meaning and power of Christmas. It will change your life forever for better.
Ooh, okay, y'all better hop on to this knowledge, okay?
Check out my truth claim.
And you said your first book, so is there another one or several others?
Yeah. My second book is going to be The Gift of You.
Ooh.
The Gift of You.
Okay, that's the one that's coming out now.
Yes, that's what I'm working on. I'm just finishing up with that one right now.
Okay. Now the last question that I ask you, Keith, is what is it that you enjoy most about being in your creative flow?
Actually, it's just being me. You know, if I wasn't a human, I'd be a songbird.
Ooh, being your true self. See, that's how we gotta express ourselves. I'm such like a numbers person, black and white, you know, ABC 1, 2, 3, and it's good to like hear, you know, other ways to express ourselves and branch out. We don't have to make ourselves fit in a box. So I can't wait to see the result of everything up here. It's an A+ in our hearts, and I know y'all are gonna enjoy the story. Just stay tuned. But thank you so much for being on. It was a pleasure to be able to interview you and capture your story, and you know, I can't wait to see more from you. I appreciate it.
Pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely. Bye, y'all.
We can agree to disagree, or we can agree to just be free and blur. Somebody brings out the blurred in me. Get your popcorn, snacks, and get your drinks in. Stay tuned in, it's a nerd evolution. The blur's taking over, it's a revolution. The world's full of pollution, let me be the solution. Anime and black creatives, and this diffusion. You're listening to Blur Sunday. Sit back, relax, get your snacks, get your drinks. It's gonna be a long ride. See you there. And on the weekend, you never know what you could get. Make sure you stay tuned in. Blur Sunbay's legit.